In the grand tapestry of life, hair restoration seems like a mere thread. But for many others, it can transform how they see the world and themselves. Let us ensure that this transformation is not fleeting, but enduring. A testament to thoughtful planning, ethical practice, and a shared vision for lasting beauty. After all, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. And today, the hows and whys of sustainable hair transplant results, hair transplants that last a long time, is the topic of discussion. Today I will present one more long-term result, and we shall discuss the how and the why of why we no longer see long-term results on the internet and why we do not care. The first thing when you set upon this journey is you need to realize that you're up against genetics, a formidable force that is difficult to vanquish without a laid down plan. And seeking to do a hair transplant without taming these formidable forces is much like seeking to plant saplings when the forest fire is raging, without waiting for the forest fire to die out or to extinguish it ourselves, planting more trees in a hope that they will survive. Hair transplant without taming these forces is just like a forest fire where you plant the saplings in a hope they'll survive. But why would you get a hair transplant if you're told that your hair transplant is not going to last more than 1 to 2 years? That it's going to be just a mere flash in the pan, like the morning dew that's going to disappear at the first rays of the sun. But we do not want to investigate any further. Do not implore clinics to show long-term results that have lasted 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, but believe what we are being served on a platter as case reports of results after a mere 6 months or 1 year after the hair transplant procedure. What happens to the patient after 1 year of the hair transplant seems to be no one's business. A 24-year-old boy came over to me one day and asked me, "Doctor, I have a strong family history of baldness and I'm desperate for full coverage. Just do what you can. Money is not a problem. Cover all the areas where you think there is thinning so that this is my first and my last procedure. Please future-proof my baldness so that I don't have to come to you again. Take the grafts from wherever you want, the scalp donor as many as you want, the beard, the chest, the arms, the legs, but please, I should not get a hair transplant again." And I ask this question of you, those people watching this video, to how many of you this sounds reasonable and is what you want to get done? Write yes in the comment section below if that's what you seek, if that is what your understanding of a hair transplant is. And as dramatic as this may sound, this is everyday reality. Hundreds of patients the world over undergo hair transplants on a daily basis, clinging to nothing more than a clinic's promise. Misinformation is the norm, and it is so difficult being the lone clinic trying to explain to the patient that this is not in their best interest. They just do not want to hear. They think you're bluffing. Like in today's patient that I'm going to show you, long-term sustainability of results depends upon a host of factors, and least of all, the number of grafts that you get in the first session. Hair transplant is an intricate art and science mostly misunderstood by the public. A procedure widely celebrated as a remedy for baldness, a meticulously planned surgical intervention that no more than redistributes existing hair economically, sparingly, with one eye trying to create an illusion of fullness and the other eye planning for an unpredictable future ahead in a setting of limited grafts. Please understand that. For long-term preservation of both transplanted and native thinning hair is critical to achieving enduring satisfaction and maintaining a natural appearance as one ages. Unfortunately, many clinics fail to emphasize this important aspect, leaving patients vulnerable to future dissatisfaction and an unnatural resulting look down the years. Many of my earlier videos showcase results of 15 plus years and give you an insight how a hair transplant is not just a standalone one-time thing, and you can see the link above. But today let's dive deeper down into why long-term strategies, long-term follow-ups are essential to preserve native thinning hair, indispensable for sustainable results after a properly done hair transplant. Hair transplant surgery, as we all know, does not address the root cause of baldness, which is often genetic androgenic alopecia. It merely relocates hair follicles, typically from the permanent zone, the donor area at the back of the head and the sides of the scalp, into areas that are bald or thinning. This transfer does not cause balding. Balding is still raging if you're young, if you're 25 years old. Hair transplant only merely camouflages, conceals, fills the bald spots. Even the transplanted hair presumed to be permanent by many may not always remain unaffected by factors like aging, hormonal changes, inadequate donor selection, or even the influence of DHT. Native hair in the recipient area, meanwhile, continues to miniaturize unless active measures are taken to slow down the progression of androgenic alopecia. And without ongoing management, the patient risks losing native thinning hair to the onslaught of baldness, native thinning hair around the transplanted hair, taking away from the result, again creating a patchy, unnatural appearance. Despite the immense technical advancements in hair transplant surgery, many clinics fail to prioritize long-term follow-up care. This oversight stems from several factors. Many clinics focus solely on immediate profit, advertising quick fixes without educating the patient. For if you're selling a commodity, it is easier to explain to the patient this way, it is easier to sell this way, it is easier to sell a commodity as compared or as contrasted to selling a surgical procedure. Never once do these clinics allow the patient an opportunity to get a whiff of the fact that the hair transplant procedure that they're seeking has surgical repercussions. It is a permanent procedure. If wrong decisions are made, these decisions will haunt you for a lifetime. Harvesting the hair from outside the safe donor zone jeopardizes the longevity of transplanted hair. This could also stem from the greed of the patient for more grafts and of the clinic for greater revenue. Both the patient and the clinic in such a circumstance are equally to blame. Post-transplant care like medications, like DHT blockers after hair transplant, are often neglected. Many times seeing the fear of taking these medications due to the side effects, potential side effects, which are blown out of proportion, comes as an opportunity for some clinics to garner more revenue by selling costly replacements touted as alternatives to these medications which are said to cause side effects and make greater profit. Everybody knows that, but no one is ready to admit. As a result, promises that the clinic once made to the patient start to break down, promises break down, and so does the hairline. And patients very often end up disillusioned when their native hair continues to thin out, or when poorly selected grafts from outside the safe zone, begin to deteriorate, begin to fall off, and you go back to square one as you were before the hair transplant. With very little hair, but a lot of scars. Scars in the scalp, and more importantly, scars in the mind. A conscientious approach to hair transplant, to surgical hair restoration, extends far beyond the operating table. Long-term follow-up is essential for these reasons. Number one, monitoring the progression of hair loss. Hair loss is a dynamic process, and what appears stable at the time of the surgery may evolve over the years due to triggers that can happen anytime in life and can come in many forms. Regular follow-up allows the surgeon to monitor the miniaturization of native hair, the stability of the donor area, the quality and density of the transplanted hair over time. Such monitoring from time to time enables timely intervention, which may be in the form of medical treatment, tweaking medical treatment, maybe additional strategic grafting of a few grafts, or maybe salient lifestyle changes. And secondly, managing native hair. The aesthetic success of a hair transplant is as much dependent on the native hair as it is on transplanted grafts. Preserving native hair through medical treatments is crucial to prevent the island effect, where transplanted hairs remain, but the surrounding hair, the native hair that was thinning, which was not treated, starts to recede, thins out and disconnects with the planted area, creating an unnatural contrast, a horseshoe pattern very clearly evident in the crown area that has not been treated. And then age-related changes. Hair restoration plans must account for the patient's age and future hair loss patterns. A responsible clinic will advise patients to pace their hair restoration journey to accommodate long-term needs rather than seeking instant, unsustainable results, and identifying and correcting certain complications. Cobblestoning, poor graft survival, scarring or unnatural graft placement may not be immediately apparent with an instant head full of hair after a hair transplant, but as the hairs start to thin out, these problems could surface over the years. It is only a commitment to follow up that allows these issues to be addressed and corrected promptly before they appear. So what are the strategies for long-term success of a hair transplant? To achieve long-term results and continue to maintain the illusion of density, patients and surgeons must work together in adopting a comprehensive, lifelong approach to hair care, choosing the right donor zone. The permanent donor zone is the key to hair transplant. Hair harvested outside the safe zone is prone to thinning out over time, which can happen as early as 1 year after the hair transplant. A surgeon and his team must exercise strict discipline in identifying the safe donor zone and avoiding overharvesting, which risks overburdening the scalp's supply of healthy follicles. Androgenic alopecia is progressive, and ignoring this reality is like building a house on shifting sands. Proven therapies like finasteride, like minoxidil, lifestyle changes can slow down or stabilize the progression of baldness in native follicles. Patients should be, with due diligence, educated about these treatments and encouraged to commit to them as part of their long-term plan to restore the hair. Placing grafts in a very dense manner in a setting of limited grafts along the hairline, while ignoring areas in the mid-scalp, ignoring areas in the crown area, or just planting along the fringe area so the patient wears his hair upwards, as is common in many practices, may produce aesthetically pleasing results initially, but it sets the stage for glaring imbalances as the native hair in other areas continue to recede. Surgeons therefore must prioritize a balanced distribution of grafts where possible and continue to anticipate future hair loss patterns during follow-ups. In cases who are young at the time of the first procedure, say 25 years of age, where hair loss progresses significantly, rapidly, even despite medical treatment, follow-up transplants may be necessary. Planning these procedures early ensures a harmonious outcome without the appearance of abrupt transitions between treated and untreated areas. Encouraging patients to adopt a healthy lifestyle, proper nutrition, maintaining a proper sleep rhythm, stress management, avoiding smoking can definitely improve the longevity of both the native and transplanted hair. Ethics, like most practices in other fields of medicine, must underpin every aspect of surgical hair restoration. A responsible clinic will prioritize the long-term well-being of its patients over quick financial gains. This means transparency in results. Clinics should showcase honest, long-term outcomes rather than bluff by focusing solely on immediate post-operative results. Informing patients about the progressive nature of hair loss in androgenic alopecia and the necessity of maintenance therapy ensures that the patient have realistic expectations. They know what they're going in for. And lastly, accountability. Standing by patients for years after their surgery, rather than treating them as a one-time transaction, fosters trust, builds on patient-doctor relationship, and improves outcomes both physical and psychological. Patients too cannot escape. They too bear a responsibility for the results. While surgeons can merely guide and treat them, the patient must commit to maintaining the health of the hair. And this involves adhering to medical treatments which have been advised, attending follow-up consultations from time to time, avoiding fads and unproven treatments which are a dime to a dozen that could harm existing hair. Educated patients educated by the clinics, by the doctor who's treating them, are less likely to fall prey to unscrupulous clinics and unrealistic promises. So to conclude, hair transplant is not a cure, but an artful solution to the aesthetic challenges of hair loss. Its success not only lies in the skill of the surgeon who's done your procedure, but in the long-term partnership between the doctor and his patient. Preserving native thinning hair, maintaining the transplanted grafts, and planning for the future are critical components of a sustainable outcome. Clinics must rise above their transactional mindset that pervades the industry and instead focus on lifetime value of their service to the patients. Meanwhile, patients must understand that a hair transplant is not the end of the hair restoration journey, but just the beginning of an ongoing commitment to their hair health. So that was the talk for the day. If you liked it, do let me know. Leave a comment in the comment section below. If you still have questions about hair transplant results, about hair transplants, about hair transplant techniques, or hair loss treatment for men and women, do leave a question in the comment section below and I'll get back to you shortly. I may also address the question in my live session, which I do daily. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day and God bless you.